kidding. Just one shot?
They're not all zombies, Doug. How do you fight this thing?
Maybe we could drown it in A1 sauce.
Well, sometimes that is better. The person you put up there ain't the person that comes back.
It's a dance song to get down with. About 6 feet under. Get there.
Ooh, I love this song.
And now we come to the thrilling final episode of our radio drama.
Hello and welcome everyone to episode 205 of the Rotten Reviews podcast. It's kind of crazy to think that we're in the 200s now. I've actually been looking back on the older episodes, and we've been doing it for like 3.5, 4 years now. So it's just crazy to think that I've actually stuck with this podcast. I know I took a little short break here and there, but nothing too crazy. And we're going to keep the content coming because I have a lot of episodes planned out already ahead of time. So I'm looking forward to this, late stretch end of the year. So hopefully you guys will stick around. Hopefully you hit that subscribe button or hit that follow button, like button, whatever it might be on whichever podcast app you're listening to. We have some episodes going up on different platforms now as well. So thank you. If this is your first episode, I appreciate it. I'm not sure why Tix would be your first episode. I don't know why I'm saying that though, because I've actually never seen this movie. As we're doing this intro, we haven't actually watched the movie yet, so I don't know anything about it really. I know it's got Seth Green in it. I know it's got Carlton in it from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but that's really about it, to be honest with you guys. As this is the first time watch for me, so hopefully it's gonna be a fun movie. And if not, hopefully we'll find at least a few fun aspects to the movie. That's what I always like to do with each and every single episode. I want to look for something that I actually find enjoyable in the movie. I don't want to just bash on a movie and hate a movie. I know that a lot of work goes into the movies, even if some of them are really silly, wacky and crazy. I know a lot of people actually do put effort into the movies, and I want to at least find something that I can relate or enjoy with the movie. That being said, if you're a returning listener, thank you so much for coming back to another episode of the podcast. I appreciate it. You guys are what helps keep this train moving forward. If you're a new listener, hopefully you'll come back for another episode. Hopefully you check out that back catalog. But before we get into too much stuff, let's do a little bit of housekeeping at this point in time.
Housekeeping?
I think you're sleeping.
Housekeeping?
Could you come back in an hour?
Housekeeping, you want towels?
More towels. Need sleepy.
Housekeeping, you want mint for pillow?
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God.
So with this week's housekeeping segment, if you guys, depending on whatever podcast platform you listen to, if you're on why did I say TikTok? If you're on Spotify, go give it a star rating. I'm not going to tell you to give it 5 stars. If you want to, I appreciate that. That would be awesome. Just give it whatever star rating you want. I'm not going to force you or beg you to give a 5 star. If you could do it though, that would be great. Like I said, I'm just saying the 5 stars are good. If you're on Apple, leave a review. If you're on Castbox, I'm not sure if they have any rating system on there as well. It's been a long time since I listened to anything on Castbox. I don't know. If you by chance or listen to like one of the older episodes on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button. Leave a comment down below on the video. Let me know what you thought of the video. Let me know what you thought of the movie. Leave some suggestions if you want. All the links are down below as well in the description. If you're listening to it on the Facebook page, because I've been starting to upload on the Facebook page as well, leave a comment on that as well. Hit that like button, hit that share button on all the platforms. The share button does mean a lot, and it does help a lot. So if you guys could just even share just the podcast, it means a lot to me. And as always, like I said, follow me on all social media sites at Typhonsign. But the main ones we have are the Instagram, the X, Threads, Facebook, and then the main one being YouTube. We have the weekly gaming video dropping every single Wednesday. We have old episodes of the podcast dropping. We do live streams over there. I've been doing some video game live streams, and we've been doing some art live streams. We're going to be doing some live streams over on the Facebook page, so if you guys want to go check that out as well, I highly appreciate it. Maybe we'll do an Instagram live at some point in time. I'm just trying to branch out to as many platforms and to as people to build a community and, you know, of like-minded people. So if you guys could share all that stuff, I appreciate it. We also have a Ko-fi or coffee page. I'm not sure how you guys pronounce it. It's just like a donation page. If you want to click that link down below as well, I appreciate it. All that money goes right into the podcast or the live streams or the art videos, whatnot. It's pretty much all just a little extra funds if I need, you know, new ink pen or whatever it might be. I want to upgrade mics at some point in time. I would like to get like a high quality mic at some point in time, but we'll see how it goes. I also want to get more technology to do better live streams, so that's something as well. So yeah, if you want to donate $5, go ahead. If you don't, that's fine too. Just share the stuff. That's all you really need to do. It helps out a lot, and I appreciate it. Definitely go check out the Instagram page or the Facebook page, or even, like I said, the YouTube channel, because I've been posting a lot more artwork over there as well. We have short videos and reels going up as well, and you get to see all the new artwork and content that I've been creating lately. So if you guys want to see that stuff, you know, I appreciate it. I'm not going to force you. And yeah, I think that's enough about talking about all that little backroom kind of crap. I hate trying to like promote my stuff too much because I don't want to like annoy anyone. So we'll move on to the next subject. I'm glad you guys are still here. Hopefully you guys haven't fast forward right to the starting of the movie. But if you have, I understand. It's okay. I understand. But yeah, for today's movie, we got a new watch for us, a first time watch. We're watching Ticks from 1993. Literally, the only reason I picked this movie is because, well, one, I haven't seen it before, but it's also starring a young Seth Green, and we also have Carlton from Fresh Prince. Those are pretty much my two selling points on this movie. We're going to start discussing this movie, but I want to give a first warning. If this is your first episode, what I'm going to be doing, what I do for every episode, I talk about a movie from start to finish, hit all the points in between that interest me, and, you know, there's going to be spoilers, which is fair. It's a movie from 1993, so if you don't want to be spoiled, you know, you can find a good copy of it on YouTube, so you're more than welcome to, you know, go watch that copy on YouTube, or just sit back, relax, listen to me talk about the movie, and then maybe it'll either make you really want to see the movie, or you'll just know, maybe it's not really for me, you know, just avoid it. So I just wanted to give that little warning out there for anyone new. You are going to be spoiled because I'm going to be talking about the movie from start to finish and hitting all the points in between, like I said. So if you don't want to be spoiled, this is like your first warning. I'll give another warning once I actually start talking about the movie itself, but this is your first warning. This movie has a 5.5 out of 10 on IMDb, 71% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 43% on Metacritic. Apparently 78% of Google users have liked this movie. Initial release date was May 25th, 1994. It had apparently a budget of $1.5 million and it's distributed by Republic Pictures. The description, as read on IMDb, a group of troubled teenagers are led by social workers on a Californian wilderness retreat, not knowing that the woods they are camping in have become infested by mutated, blood-sucking ticks. This movie is directed by Tony Randall. Tony has had a kind of interesting career. He first started out in 1983 as an editor on Space Raiders. Then in 1987, he was an editor for a certain horror movie called Hellraiser. And then he was also the editor for 1988's Hellbound, Hellraiser 2. And then it kind of goes weird because in 2010, he does a TV movie where he's the editor called Dino Croc vs. Super Gator. Then in 2010 as well, he was there for Monster Cruise. And in 2011, TV movie editor for Camel Spiders. And then this one that's really sounds interesting. In 2012, he was the editor for a TV movie called Piranhaconda. Apparently it's this hybrid piranha anaconda, and it's about the scientists who stole the piranha anaconda's eggs. And then there's this film crew that's also filming a slasher movie in this exact jungle, and it sounds cheesy as hell. I might watch it, but I probably won't. And then he also went on to do a bunch of Doggone movies, like he's done Doggone Christmas and Doggone Hollywood and Doggone Adventure. I have no idea what these movies even are, but it's like those Air Bud style movies by the looks of the image. So I'm not really sure where his career is going, but good on him. His last movie was in 2020, where he was the editor for Titty Tim's, whatever the hell that might be. I don't want to click on it. This movie has one writer credit for it, and his name is Brent Friedman. He's best known for being the producer for 19 episodes of Dark Skies from 1996 and 1997. He was also the writer for 1997's Mortal Kombat Annihilation. He was the producer for 4 episodes of The Twilight Zone from 2002 to 2003. He was also the producer for 11 episodes of Star Trek Enterprise in 2003. And then again, he's done a bunch of other things that I don't know anything about. He was the executive producer for 48 episodes of Gemini Division in 2008. In 2009, he did 21 episodes of Woke Up Dead. And in 2009 as well, he was also doing 33 episodes of Valemont. I have not heard of a single one of these shows, so I don't know a damn thing about them at all. But, you know, at least he worked on that good Mortal Kombat movie, right? Annihilation, that's a good one, right? Yeah, okay. Now, we're going to talk about 3 people that are in the movie. Of course, we're going to talk about Seth Green, best known for probably working on Robot Chicken. He's done 227 episodes of Robot Chicken. He was also Lyle in 2003's The Italian Job. He was Scott Evil in 1997's Austin Powers International Man. You know, he's part of the Austin Powers series, of course. And also for other people, you know, he's in 2003's Party Monster as James St. James. You know, he's also Chris Griffin and Family Guy with a bunch of other characters. And he's also Mitch in one episode of That 90s Show. You know, spoilers in case nobody's watched That 90s Show yet. And he's also the voice of Howard the Duck in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Just saying. Howard the Duck, love the character. Just saying, I would watch another new Howard the Duck movie. We should probably watch the original Howard the Duck on the podcast. Maybe I'll do some old action movies. I'll do Howard the Duck, or not action movies, comic book movies. I'll do Howard the Duck and maybe followed up by Dolph Lundgren's Punisher. That would be a fun combo for like a couple episodes out of the month. Maybe we'll do that. Also, I don't know the year that the movie came out because I can't find it for right now for some reason. But he also plays an Amish character in a movie called Sex Drive. It's really funny. GTO breaks down. GTO Judge, very nice muscle car. And somehow this bastard knows how to fix it. He's an Amish. It's weird. It's a weird movie, but fun. The next cast member we're going to talk about is Alfonso Ribeiro. I probably butchered that last name. I hear it every now and then, but God forbid I probably just butchered the crap out. He's Carlton for Fresh Prince, where he was in 147 episodes from 1990 to 1996. He was also part of the casting department for the music video in 1999's Wild Wild West with Will Smith. I had no idea about that at all. And he's also in 51 episodes from 1995 and 1999 of In the House. What the hell is this show? And apparently he's the director. 26 episodes of All of Us from 2004 to 2007. I don't know that show either at all. I know he's also the host of like Catch 21 back in the day. That was a game show that my parents used to watch. And then I feel like there's another game show that he's the host of, but I'm not looking that up because it's not important. The only thing you have to worry about is knowing how to do the Carlton, and you'll be fine. That's my advice for 2024. The rest of the year, just do the Carlton, you'll be fine. And then the last person I want to talk about is Clint Howard. He's Paco in 1998's The Waterboy. He was Flynn in 1992's Far and Away. He was Cy Libergot. I don't know how to pronounce that at all, but he's in 1995's Apollo 13. He was also in the Charlie Sheen movie that we did for the podcast a while ago. I forget off the top of my head what his character name was, but he was in The Wraith, and he's also in The Ice Cream Man. That's a fun horror movie. I think we did that one for the podcast years ago as well. I think it's like a year and a half ago now, probably. Maybe a little bit longer. I don't know. My memory is fading a little bit. It's late at night right now, and I still gotta work in the morning, so it's a late night. It's a late night, but I got coffee, so we're fine. I'm also just on Clint's IMDb right now, and he's in 13 episodes in 2024 of The Bold and the Beautiful. Why, Clint? Why'd you do it? Are you like a doctor in this show? Are you a homeless guy? Why are you in a soap drama? Well, why are soaps even a thing anymore? I thought like normal soaps and everyday TV shows were kind of just fading to the wayside, but I guess not. Anyways, so the tagline for this movie is, "It's not nice to mess with Mother Nature." I feel like they could have came up with something a little bit better, but that's besides the point. Apparently there's a little bit of trivia on IMDb. Despite the movie's subtitle, ticks aren't insects. They are arachnids, more closely related to spiders and scorpions. I didn't know that. Now you learned something new. You can thank me later. The more you know, I guess. Anyways, enough of me blabbing about the movie. We're actually going to get ready to actually watch the movie. So hopefully you guys are all comfy, ready to, listen to this movie. You got some chips, some popcorn, some snacks, whatever it might be. If you're at work, hopefully this helps you get through the day a little bit easier. And if you're listening in your vehicle, make sure you keep your eyes on the road. We don't need any more accidents or or anything, okay, dipshit? So keep your eyes on the road, please. Thank you. Now buckle in because the episode is getting ready to start now.
Presents Saturday Night at the Movies, the television series which each week brings you the finest in recent motion pictures. Tonight,
they came from the city.
This is it. This place looks worse than the project. It's too goddamn quiet.
To enjoy a different kind of wildlife.
Sometimes I get the feeling like something really bad is gonna happen.
But life in the wilderness,
There's something on your back.
is getting under their skin.
Just don't touch it if you don't know what it is. Don't touch it, it attacked me.
Something drained your dog of all his blood. It's a tick.
Ticks do not get this big.
They'll be all over this place like flies.
I want out of this place alive!
Infested. They breed, they hatch, they kill.
We have our intro credits starting, and then this big giant ass bold green font comes on the TV that says ticks, and it's a vibrant green. I like green, so it's cool. It's very effective. I just wasn't expecting it to be that goddamn bright, to be honest with you. And then we come to this like shed that's out in the darkness, and it's a windy night. And we see some hay and stuff flying all around. We see a lantern outside just shaking, and then we start zooming in on a pipe, and apparently it's leaking, and this black tar looking liquid is just being pushed around by the wind. And we go inside the building, we just see this big system checking the kilowatts as the meter's going back and forth. I have no idea what this machine's doing at all, but it's a very poorly lit looking warehouse because there's some barrels off on the side. There's a light in the ceiling that's kind of like flickering, and then it sounds like a generator or something starts to turn on. And then we see this, you know, stereotypical science lab looking area with a bunch of pulleys and stuff. And there's an actual hamster and a wheel spinning that's making the belts move and making the pulleys move. And as the intro credits are still playing, we're looking around this warehouse or lab or where it be. And we see a bunch of green slime going into this barrel. And then we see a bunch of, you know, green plants all over the place. I'm not going to say what kind of plants by any means. Mainly because I don't want no strike on my podcast, because I don't know the rules if you can talk about it or not. I'm sure you can. But it's that wacky tobacco kind of stuff, okay? Just so you guys are aware. And then it's like, oh no, something breaks. And then there's this thing that's leaking all over the place. And I'm assuming there's this white thing that's kind of blistery looking. It's veiny. And I'm assuming it's supposed to be a tick that's getting leaked on by this wacky tobacco chemicals. I have no idea. And then we just cut to this under overpass bridge looking area. And Seth Green is being dropped off by his dad, and Seth Green's character's name in this movie is Tyler, and he's getting dropped off to go on this, you know, like a nature hike in the woods with social workers. And Dad's like, I'm doing this to you just so you get better, just so you know that I still love you, son. You need to get some help. Also, where the dad drops him off, it looks like it's almost the middle of nowhere. It looks like it's a setting of a Goosebumps episode, because you just see Tyler looking around and be like, where is everybody? It's a little bit weird. I look like I'm gonna fall over because this bag's really heavy and it's hot out, and I just hear a helicopter flying overhead for no reason. And then there's like this flashback cutscene where young Tyler is lost in the woods, hugging a tree, crying for his dad to come help him, and then he starts zoning back in, and then we see Alfonso, a character, panic off on the side. He's like, hey, Holmes, we're gonna play a game as I shoot my basketball at you. And he's like, they call me Panic because I never do. So we're gonna play a game. If you can't sink this ball in the hoop, you die. Well, that's a little bit drastic now, isn't it, Carlton? You need to calm it down a little bit. He's like, hey, if you don't shoot the ball, I'm gonna have my little border collie dog over here rip your damn leg off, little punk. Anyways, Tyler shoots the ball. It goes in the net. He's like, you gotta do it again. I won't kill you. Gotta do it again. And then we see the free candy van showing up just in time to pick up Tyler. And it's like, hey, so you're gonna go on this retreat. We're gonna have a fun time, alright? And then Panic like, hey, Tyler, we ain't done with this, you know, you still gotta shoot the hoop. And then the lady, Holly, who's running the whole trip, is like, oh, Panic, you're always trying to be the toughest kid on the block, aren't you? You silly little guy. And he goes over and gives her a hug. He's like, yeah, he's just acting up because he's trying to be a tough guy. Then we see this guy Rome showing up in a BMW. He's like, look at this car I just got. Apparently he's hooking up with this fancy rich girl, and the dad's like, yeah, I'll give you this car if you go to Mexico and you stay there, but don't take my daughter with you. He's like, joke's on him. I got the car still, and she's still with me. And then we cut to Clint Howard, who's named Jarvis in this, and he's in that factory warehouse where the chemicals are. He's making some coffee. He's like, really good. It's like, oh no, something broke behind me. I better kick it. So he kicks the machine again, and we see some more liquid dropping on that tick. And then we just see the van driving off into the wilderness to go on their little retreat somewhere in the woods of California. God knows where that might be. I have no idea. They find a spot on the side of the road to get out, and at least Panic was able to bring his puppy dog with him, his vicious puppy dog. And then when he's petting his dog, he's like, hey, my dog's got a tick or something on it. And Seth Green's character Todd just goes over and picks it up. He's like, tick, the vampires of the insect world. And that's when we then see Tyler set the tick on fire, because he's like, my grandfather told me ticks are too tough to squash, so we set them on fire. I guess they were just taking a break there, because then we see the van going into the other small little town, and Holly's like, last chance to get some extra supplies before we go on a hike. And then everyone gets out of the van, and Tyler's like, hey, you getting out of the van, Panic? And Panic's looking around like, nope, I'm not getting out here. This is too sketchy for me to even get out in. And Tyler's like, hey, Panic, you ever kill anybody? He's like, what kind of question is that? He said, well, a pretty straightforward question, I thought. He's like, well, how about we put it this way? I've killed as many guys as you've boned chick. Tyler's like, whoa, that many? Wow, that's crazy, man. Then as one of the girls is looking at the billboard set up in the store, this drunk guy comes up behind her. He's like, what brings you here, pretty lady? And this other guy comes in with a comb, brushing his hair. He's like, Jerry, you gotta have some manners with the visitors that come into town, okay? He's like, oh, yeah, my bad, sir. Then we cut back to Jarvis, Clint Howard's character, in his little factory, whatever. And for whatever reason, he's playing with a bear trap. And I have no idea what the plan is with said bear trap. But he keeps pressing it to see how it's closing. I have no idea why. It just seems like an accident waiting to happen. It's at this point we get our first perspective from the tick's point of view, as it's moving around, as it's coming up behind him, and then we hear some more sounds coming off to the sides. So then the tick's like, oh, what's this sound over here? I better go explore this. And then we see it like getting farther up on the table, and now it's by the hamster. I didn't know ticks could fly. Can they fly? Either this thing can fly or it can climb really fast. I don't know. But then we hear a sound screeching, and Jarvis gets up, and that's when he realizes his hamster has seen better days. And he walks over to it and picks it up out of the wheel, and he's like, dude, you're all messed up. What happened to you? And then we hear the tick flying off in the background, so I guess they can fly. I don't freaking know if they can fly. I don't think so. But it's a movie from the 90s, so they can do whatever the frick they want. Anyways, as we were mentioning about that bear trap being in a bad position and an accident waiting to happen, Jarvis goes to look where the flapping wings sound came from, gets spooked, walks backwards, and of course steps into the bear trap and falls over screaming. And then we see this big giant larva pod thing dropping beside him, and then he's looking up on the ceiling, and there's more of them, and another one drops right on his head. So I'm not sure if he's going to be infested with ticks or if he's just straight up dead at this point in time. We see our campers finally coming to their camp, and we have Rome complaining because the girl he's shacking up with, he's like, what am I, your ballet? Why am I carrying all your stuff here? We see Tyler walking into the cabin, and Rome's like, hey, make sure you save me some closet space, home. And Tyler goes over to the closet to open it up and see what's inside. And that's when he sees his larva pod. It looks like the same one that fell on Jarvis's face. He starts poking it with a coat hanger, and it starts just oozing and falling to the floor. And then Rome and Panic comes look over. He's like, we're just gonna step on this now and just get rid of it. And Rome's like, hey, you better clean that up. I can't put my clothes in there with that kind of stuff in there. Might wreck my clothes. That must be like later that day or the next day. Not really too sure. We hear one of the camp counselors like narrating over, being like, my partner Holly's done this trip many times, but other than that, none of us have any outdoor experience. And we have Panic outside playing with a tomahawk of all things, doing some karate moves, and then he's like whipping the tomahawk axe at the camp sign. He's got some anger issues. See Tyler walking through the woods at this point in time with Melissa. Melissa is the daughter of Charles, and Charles is the main camp counselor kind of guy that's doing this trek with them. And at this point in time, they don't really notice that there's a bunch of giant like tick slug looking creatures all over the trees, all around them, but we see a close-up shot of them, and then Melissa goes to walk away, and Tyler's like, just wait, you got something on your back. He grabs a big giant stick, and there's this big giant ball on her back. And she's like, what's on my back? And he's like, I have no idea what's on your back. Can you just wait 1 second as I try and get it off? And we see this big mutated version of a tick, and it starts biting the stick that he's using to try and get it off of her back, and she starts freaking out. Tyler finally gets the tick off her back, but then the damn thing takes the stick and just runs off into the woods with it. And Tyler and Melissa run back, and he's like, hey Charles, can we get her? Melissa had a giant bug on her back, and Charles is like, well, you know, we are out in the woods, so that is going to happen eventually at some point in time. He's like, no, it wasn't like some wilderness bug. It was like a big bug. Like big bug, like big bear, but big bug. And then as, you know, everyone's getting ready to sit down at the picnic table, at their campsite, at the cabin, getting ready to eat, we see Jerry and the other creep guy from the town show up, be like, oh, it's in our happy campers just out here in the woods, huh? And apparently they're just stopping by and be like, so I just want to let you know, a little warning, that now that the lumber mill shut down, you know, some locals are doing whatever they need to, you know, financially get by. So if you get robbed or something like that, you know, just wanted to give you the heads up. Just, you know, just be careful in the woods. You know, maybe stay together as a group and stuff, you know. And we see Jarvis waking up in his little factory building, whatever, and he's just all freaking out because he's looking at his stomach, and we can see something moving inside of his stomach. So then he starts ripping at his shirt to rip his shirt off, and that's when we see like a tick inside of his stomach moving around. So then he crawls over to one of the shelves and gets a gun out. He sees the tick is moving down his leg, so then he starts shooting at his own leg. And then of course Panic and everyone else at the camp hears the gunshots and like, sure hope it wasn't that creepy guys that were here earlier. I hope we're not in trouble at all. And then they're getting ready to set up a campfire, and Rome gets as much gas as possible and pours it on the fire, and Tyler's like, that's too much gas, and they go to light it. And then of course Charles and his girlfriend are in the camp or cabin, you know, getting on, and they see a giant burst of flames come through the window. He's like, what the hell's going on? What are they doing there? He starts freaking out at them, being like, you know, you guys could start a forest fire. What are you doing here? And Pan's like, you never showed us how to start a campfire, so what do you expect for us? We're just trying to start a campfire and just sit around the campfire. Then we see Tyler off on a log, just, you know, hunched over, you know, a little anxious, a little scared. Panic comes up behind him and spooks him. He's like, what's the matter, man? You sick or something? He's like, I threw a lot of stuff at you, and you were handling fine. Now you're out in the woods and you're acting like a little baby? He's like, I just got some stuff I got to work through, okay? Some trauma, childhood trauma. Can you just relax? And then we hear the puppy dog screaming, Panic's dog, because we have the perspective of a tick, or ticks, I'm not sure really which one, but they go attack the dog, of course. So that's when we want to shut the movie off at this point in time. Panic finds his dog, and it's shaking because we assume the tick is burying itself fully through the dog, and that's when we then see Panic carrying the dog back and meeting up with Tyler and Charles. And then Charles is like, well, what happened? He's like, I don't know. He was just shaking and scratching, and then he acted like he didn't know who I was, and he just wouldn't listen to me. And that's when we see Panic, you know, breaking down, showing his soft side because, you know, his dog was his best friend. Totally understandable. And then we see him back in the camp, packing up all his stuff because he doesn't feel like he belongs here, and he doesn't want to be here. And, you know, now he's lost his best friend because of this place, so he wants nothing to do with it. It's now the next day, and we see the front camp sign, but now we see a bunch of other, like, tick larva pods, I guess, just hanging off of a bunch of the trees. And then we see the sheriff showing up. He's like, good morning. That's when then Charles takes the sheriff over to the tarp that has Brutus the dog underneath it. He's like, something must have happened. It must have attacked him in the woods because he went, you know, rabbit, and then he just died. It's like, that's no good. Like, thanks, sheriff. Good job, sheriff. And then randomly out of nowhere, the sheriff's like, so while I'm here, Jarvis Tanner, Yeehaw guy, never came home by chance. Did you see him around here in the woods at all by chance, huh? Like, no, never seen the random guy that you're mentioning now for the first time ever. And then Charles asks Tyler to go get Panic so, you know, they can have a talk. And that's when Tyler's like, you know, Panic actually left last night. And that's when there's a little fight between the two, because now Charles is pissed off because now there's a kid missing and he's, you know, in his, you know, group. And then next we cut and see Tyler freaking out in the cabin because, you know, it feels like it's his fault. Panic taking off, and then Melissa comes to like comfort him and calm him down a little bit. And then Charles comes in and he's like, so I'm gonna go look for Panic. Do you want to come? You gonna come help look for him or what? And then they, you know, they go off together, you know, driving down the road and try and find Panic at all. And then we have this little like bonding moment, and Tyler starts, you know, mentioning to Charles about, you know, what happened in the woods when he was 8 and how he was, you know, trapped in the woods, stuck stuck up against a tree because he was too scared to move. And that's when Charles like, so your father was trying this whole trial by error kind of system. He's like, yeah, I guess so. And I get scared when I'm alone in the woods by myself. And next thing we know, we see Panic in the woods, hiding up against some rocks. He's like, I don't know where I'm going. I'm kind of lost. And then he hears a vehicle driving down the road, and he looks for the rocks. And of course, it's Charles driving down the road. He's like, crap. And then we see Charles and Tyler at the vet clinic, I'm assuming, and they're looking over Bruce's dead body, and she's feeling, it's like, there's a mass here. It could be like a tumor, but it wouldn't explain the reason why the dog was acting the way you said it was acting, so let's take some blood and take a look at it. And then the vet's like, something's kind of weird here, because it seems like something drained all the blood out of your dog. And Charles like, what exactly could have did that? Exactly. She keeps trying to get some blood out of the dog, but the syringe keeps pulling back. And then she's like, what's going on here? And then the dog starts to shake a little bit. And she's like, what's actually going on here? I'm not really 100% sure. And then we see the dog's stomach start to open up. And then out of nowhere on the syringe is a giant tick. And then the tick comes back alive. And she's like, oh my god, we gotta close the door. We can't let the damn thing get out, because now it's got a syringe stuck in it. They get the door shut. They put a towel down on the door too, so it can't get underneath the crack. And then we see the vet walking around with a fly swatter. No, actually not fly swatter. It looks like a little fishing net, actually. My bad. I saw the netting aspect later. I thought it was fly swatter at first. My bad. We see this tick running around the room. It's an oversized tick. It's like the size of a hand. And it's got a giant syringe on the back of it. It's running around. It's kind of like a CGI, maybe practical effects, but I'm pretty sure it's all CGI. And it tackles Tyler to the ground, and they're trying to fight to get it off, and then the tick runs away. And then the vet steps on it and crushes it somehow, and it just explodes into pieces, even though you're not supposed to be able to really squish a tick because they're so hard to squish with your fingers, but whatever, it works. Anyways, they start cutting it open. He's like, this is a very interesting tick you have here. And then she's like feeling the goo and smelling. It's like, steroids. Some of the farmers out here actually use it on their wacky tobacco farms out here. It's illegal, but they get away with it anyways. And Charles like, so what if there's more ticks out there in the woods like this one? We're probably in trouble. And that's when we then see Panic working his way through the woods, and he starts freaking out because he feels something in his pant leg, and then he starts stabbing at it and cuts his pant leg open, and of course he's being attacked by a tick. And we see him cut his pant leg open. He finally gets that giant tick off his leg and throws it down to the ground, and we just see him screaming in pain because maybe there's another one up in his leg farther. I'm not really too sure what the screen's about. I mean, he's got a giant hole in his leg, so that's verified, I guess, accurate to scream in pain. And then we cut back to the camp where Holly's trying to get a bunch of people together to go fishing because she wants to go fishing because, it's a nice sunny day out. So let's go fishing. Then we see the quiet girl and Melissa walking through, getting ready to go fishing. And the quiet girl actually talks, and then Melissa's like, I didn't know you could talk. She's like, I usually don't have anything I want to say, after my incident happened with SA related stuff, which I'm not going to talk about at all. Then we see the two girls finally fishing. I have no idea where Holly is, though, because this was her idea to go fishing, but apparently the quiet girl, she's fishing, she gets something on the reel, and apparently it's stuck. So then she's like, Melissa, get the net and go in the pond. She's like, I ain't going in the pond. I don't want to go in the water. The water's murky and gross looking. Anyways, Melissa gets farther into the water, and she's like, it must be a big one you got. And then a dead body pops up out of the water, and they start freaking out. Rightfully so. I would probably freak out too if a random dead body did come out of the ground or the water. And then they go to hide, and they hide up against this hay stack or large grass stack, and then there's a police car just behind it. So then we see Rome and his girlfriend, running through the woods. He's chasing after her, and she goes into the warehouse where Jarvis was working from, and she gets all confused because she's like, I see all these plants all over the place, and it's kind of dimly lit and spooky. I better walk farther into this place that I've never been, even though I was just worried about the rednecks coming to get me. She keeps walking farther and farther, and then she comes up to a wall that's literally just full of various larvae of ticks all over the place, and she's looking at it, and she's like, these things are squishy and slimy looking. Maybe I'll get a closer look. God forbid something might pop out of them. And then we have Jarvis popping up and spooking her. And he's like, take the gun, I can't see anything. I'm infested. And then she's walking backwards and she falls over. And he falls on top of her. And his face is all deformed at this point in time. And then a tick pops out of his cheek and lunges right onto her throat and starts biting at her. And she starts freaking out and running to the door. And she's in a little bit of pain, and she's probably a little bit traumatized because she literally just saw someone's face explode in front of her. But he's still kind of alive because he tries to shoot himself in the head, but the gun doesn't go off. And then we see a very confused Panic waking up in the woods, wondering where he is. And then he's so doped up because of the bite from the tick. He also then sees himself also in like this dark looking alley as the redneck guys are coming after him. But really what it is the whole time is the redneck guys actually beating him up in the woods and putting a gun to his face. And I guess the rednecks are kind of worried that Panic is in the woods trying to find their dope supply. He's like, I ain't after your goddamn crap. I'm just trying to get home. Panic takes his knife and actually stabs Jerry, the one redneck, in the like kneecap area and starts running off. And Jerry starts chasing after him. He's like, I'm gonna carve you a new one, boy. And Panic trips over this like line that then sets off an alarm. We see some propane tanks around, so I'm not sure if it's all gonna blow up or what the hell's gonna happen. But then we have Jerry trying to stab Panic with his own knife. Panic starts, punching Jerry in the face as he's down on the ground. And then the other redneck guy comes up with the shotgun and shoots. It misses Panic altogether, but hits the propane tank. We just see some flames coming out, but we don't see the full tank blow up like I thought it would. It's just kind of setting the whole woods on fire. And then Panic goes to run away, but he then gets shot in like the lower side area. And Jerry and the other redneck go run away, but like, we shot him. It's fine. He knows too much, but he'll be okay. He'll burn in the wood. And then Rome runs into his girlfriend, and she's freaking out because he's trying to calm her down and relax her, but all she's seeing is Jerry infested with his face with the ticks and everything, and she's freaking out the whole time because of the tick bite. And then of course, just at that point in time, Tyler and Charles are driving down the road, and they stop to pick them up and like, what happened to her? She's like, I don't know, she was just running through the woods, and then she started freaking out. Now she's not talking, she's not doing anything. And then we see the woods on fire and the trees are all going up in flames. But then we see a bunch of giant ticks running for their lives, just trying to avoid all the flames. But it also looks like it's nighttime at this point in time, but it was just daytime 2 seconds ago. Anyways, everyone finally gets back to the cabin, and they get into the cabin. Molly's like, what happened? He's like, she was bit by an infected tick. She'll be fine though. I'm sure she'll be fine. Let's just lay her down. Let's cover up. Let's, just try and keep her calm and relaxed. And Charles like, you know what, guys? Let's get everything packed. Let's get back in the van and get the hell out of here before it gets dark, okay? Because I don't want to spend another minute in these woods with these infected ticks at all. And then we see Tyler run into the cabin. He's like, so there's a giant fire outside, and there's a bunch of those giant tick things coming exactly this way. And then Jerry and the other redneck guy come up against the window and start banging, and they finally let him in. And that's when they gotta rip ticks off of their face and start, stepping on them on the ground. And we know, it's probably not a good time right now. And then the one fancy redneck guy starts brushing his hair. He's like, so you guys just saved our lives, and we're eternally grateful for this. But there's a big fire out there surrounding this whole place, and there's a lot of big ticks coming towards this place, and we're in trouble. Then we see them all in the cabin together, be like, so how are we going to get to the van? Jerry, the one redneck's like, send one of those kids out there. And then the fancy boss man guy's like, why don't you go get the van, Jerry? He's like, hell, I ain't doing that. No way. And then we hear Panic banging on the doors outside, yelling for Holly because he's been, bit by ticks, of course. He finally gets let into the cabin, and by the time they get him down on the ground, he's having a seizure because of all the bite marks. And they're just trying to, hold him down to try and get the ticks off of him. They try to, pull the tick off, but Tyler's like, tell him, no, you can't do that, or it's going to lodge his head into his skin. You gotta get the lighter and burn him. And he starts to burn the tick, and we think the tick's just gonna let go. But no, the damn thing explodes in everyone's face. And then as Panic is literally dying on the floor after the tick gets off him, they try to warn him that the rednecks are the ones that, shot him. And the rednecks are like, so I appreciate your grief in this moment of time, but we need to get out of here before the ticks get in. And that's when, arguments start to happen, and then the one redneck pulls out a shotgun and be like, so we got some bigger problems here. How about you guys start listening to us now, okay? Give me the keys to the van so we can get out of here. Then all hell breaks loose in the cabin because Rome tells them not to give out the keys. That's when Jerry starts choking him with a wire, and then Charles says, leave the kids alone, and goes to make a run for the door or something. I'm not really too sure what happens. But he gets shot by the other redneck in the back of the leg, so now they gotta get the med kit out to start, tying up his leg before he bleeds to death. That's when the one guy with the shotgun's like, hey, so if I don't get the keys here soon, you're gonna be dinner time for the ticks outside, because I'll feed you guys to them one by one. So how about you hand over the keys now, huh? And of course we have an argument between the two rednecks again over who's going to go get the van. Of course the one with the gun wins because he's like, Jerry, you're gonna go get the van, okay? And you're gonna bring it around, alright? Or I'm gonna shoot you. I don't care if you're my friend or not. That's when we see Jerry coming outside with a torch and what looks to be a whip, and he's like burning and whipping the ticks as they're coming towards him one by one. Jerry gets into the van, but the driver's window is down already, so I'm assuming it's been down the whole time. He sits in the driver's seat and gets bitten right in the back of the neck by a tick and starts freaking out, but then he gets bit in their arm, and then we just see him pass out and head down on the horn as it just blares the horn the whole time. And then Jerry starts hallucinating because he sees the body of the dead sheriff holding a shotgun up, and he's like, "You're a murderer," and then Jerry's like, "No, you're dead." So he drives the van right towards his redneck buddy and drives it through the cabin. We now see that the cabin is now being overrun and infested by ticks because, of course, there's no goddamn wall there because the van went through it. We see them all fighting off the ticks. They're all trying to get out of the cabin as well. We have the one redneck guy that's alive on the couch just shooting at the various ticks. And that's when then Holly goes to try and steal his gun, and then she's getting grabbed by the hair. And then we have Tyler attacking him, and then we have Rome coming over as well, and he stabs the guy in the chest, I believe it was. Then after all that commotion happens, we have Tyler looking back, and where we see the body of Panic, it starts shaking underneath the blanket that they put over top of his body, and everyone's now watching Panic just shake on the floor because he's infested with ticks. And we see Daryl's body, Panic. Daryl's his character name in the show, but his body's getting like dragged all around the room, and then we see him slowly starting to mutate into this giant tick creature. Everyone else goes and runs into another room, and they start barricading the door up because they don't want to have anything to do with that. It's understandable, of course. Then we see this giant tick creature coming out of the shell of Panic as it slowly goes after the asshole redneck guy to eat him alive, essentially. And then we see the quiet lady. She used a fishing rod to get the tire swing over to the cabin because they're upstairs now. And we see Tyler using the tire swing to get out to try and get to the van, I think, or something. I don't know. Anyways, he falls on his ass and he starts getting attacked by ticks. Conveniently enough, where Tyler landed, there was also an old like hay broom, and he lights it on fire, or straw broom, whatever you want to call it. Lights it on fire, and he starts, fighting back the ticks. And he gets to the van, which I thought was crashed inside the cabin, but it doesn't look like it's crashed inside the cabin at this point in time, at least on this angle. And he starts fighting off the ticks inside of it and pulling Jerry's body out of it to try and get the van ready so they can escape. We see them all getting ready to escape out the window as they're building like the sheet rope all the way down. As Panic tick version starts breaking down the door to try and get at. We see Rome's the last one to leave the window, and as he's getting ready to leave the window, Panic of course grabs him and starts pulling him back in the window because he's like this giant tick version. And that's when Tyler's like, alright, I'm gonna climb back up the rope, and when I get up there, make sure you throw this broom at me, but light it on fire first, that way I can save Rome, because that doesn't sound like it's gonna be an accident waiting to happen. Anyways, Tyler saves Rome, even though it doesn't look like it's a giant fall from the window to the van. And next thing we know, we see Tyler in the driver's seat driving away, and then we see the cabin starting to like blow up, and then a line of fire goes right to the propane tank outside, and the whole thing blows up even more. And we see them driving off in the dead of night, and they're finally coming back to the city. And I guess Tyler's the one that saved the day. Then we see the shot inside this junkyard, and that's where the van is actually staying now, is inside this junkyard. And then we pan around the van, and we're looking underneath it, and we see the slime dripping down from the van, and then a giant tick larva falls down from the van, and we see it starting to shake again. And it's just, trying to set up the fact that there could be another movie. But I don't think there ever was another movie to go along with this one. And yeah, that's the end of the movie. And it's just a silly, fun, wacky movie. It's got a unique cast to it, I will say that for sure. Nothing too crazy. It's weird that Panic's the only one that actually turns into the full tick monster at the end. But still neat nonetheless. And I like the practical effects on that. And I thought it was fun. I give it a 5.5 out of 10. It's nothing crazy. I'd probably watch it again at some point in time. But I'm not going to rush out to watch it again by any means. Which brings us to our point where we got to pick what we're going to be watching next week. Alright, so next week we're going to kind of step out of the horror genre, but we're going to do a trauma movie, a trauma entertainment movie. You can watch this one for free on YouTube as well, so if you want to watch it ahead of time, definitely suggest you go watching it. I haven't seen this fully in a long time, so hopefully it's as good as I kind of remember it being good. Alright, it's just wacky, silly. We are watching from 1990 Sergeant Kubaki Man, NYPD. So hopefully you guys will check out that one next week. Maybe we'll do a couple trauma movies in a row. I'm not too sure yet. We'll wait and see. I have a whole list of movies I want to do for the podcast. I just don't have them in any exact order at this point in time, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Hopefully you'll be back for next week's episode, and as always, make sure to check out the outro band, trauma-based horror band Blood Opera. You can find their links all down below, but the main thing you can find them on is SoundCloud, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Spotify being the main one. So definitely go check them out on Spotify. Give them a like, give them a follow, thumb up some of their music, whatever it might be. I'm tired. I am really goddamn tired, to be honest
with you guys. And as always, check out all my links down below as well. At Typhusine, follow me on any social media account you want. We have the Instagram, we have the X, we have the Threads, we have the Facebook page, and the YouTube channel where I drop the weekly game video every single Wednesday. We have live streams over there as well. And yeah, it's just a bunch of fun content for you guys to consume. So I'll talk to you guys all later. I'm going to bed now. Good night. Peace.
Was it for real this time, or a dream? Was it